Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and did you have fun playing Spot the New Guy on the last video? Okay, I should have said the last video's comment section. People, that's right, plural, multiple people, called me a Wizards of the Coast shill. I apologize to the dozens of people that I just killed with laughter and they couldn't find their inhalers in time. Although seriously, have that thing ready if you're watching my channel. I mean, come on, I could just drop jokes on you out of nowhere. But this was no joke. People legitimately were saying, oh, you're just shilling, you're covering for Wizards, you're in Wizards' pocket. And I'm just thinking, it's so shocking that it's comical. I mean, I just thought, one, okay, somebody's having a bit of a laugh, or two, you new here? But hey, to even the longtime viewers, I gotta say, even in this video and that video, people think, oh, you're either for Wizards or you're against them. So everything they do is wrong, every video has to be negative on them, or the other way around. You can never say anything negative about them. Well, okay, some YouTubers do things that way. I don't. I call them like I see them. It's just, when my coverage was overwhelmingly negative, in early 2017, it's because the game was a disaster. They had to ban, 5 cards, depending upon when you measure it. Just standard was unplayable. The new paper was garbage. Wizards was, cranking up the SJW bullshit to 11. I mean, they were just screwing up. It was just screw up after screw up after screw up. There was typos on the damn cards. I mean, you can't not care much more than that. But then when Wizards started making improvements and fired people and hired people and all that, I made a positive video about that. So this is another, well, maybe let's not throw Wizards under the bus quite so hard type of video. Now, this is just a maybe thing. I'm not saying absolutely definitely people are misinterpreting this. This is how it really is. But it is a possibility. And so now I got to preface this by saying you guys may have heard that when I was about 18, so about a million years ago, I worked at a printing facility. We did all kinds of printing. Now, I only worked there for a month and a half, so there's that. But, I learned about the processes and how you handle the paper and move it, wrap it, ship it, how the printing process goes, and how quality control goes. So that's where we're going with this video. Now, we were printing something incredibly not important. I think one of the big projects we did was SpongeBob books, but still, 0 defective products would go out. 0. If there was a problem, the people running the printing press would catch it. If they didn't catch it, the cutters would catch it. If they didn't catch it, we on our machine would catch it. And I mean, even though we all hated our job and it was a miserable place to work, there's nothing to do but stare at the stuff and watch for defects. And we took a couple and we're like, oh, yep, that ain't right. That's cut wrong, whatever. Send it back, notify the cutters to pay more attention, whatever. It was virtually impossible for one misprinted product to go out because just think, that would never hit the store shelf. You'd start getting complaints and they would be traced back to us and they'd be like, okay, can you stop making, 1% of our product bad? But there was so many eyes on it, so many people touching the product, so many people checking it before it went out. It was basically impossible for a bad product to go out because just... it can't get past that many people. It's our job to sit there and stare at it and make sure it's correct while we're doing our other jobs, like feeding the hoppers. Well, I'm feeding the hoppers with the finished product. I mean, I'm going to see it. I'm a foot in front of it. A team of 8 people just at my machine saw every single product go through the machine, one at a time, cover side up. But here's the thing, okay? That was super unimportant. I do believe we were making SpongeBob books. Some kind of, coloring book. It was a long time ago. Now, I don't remember if that company or that specific location or facility did, not lottery tickets, but the scratch-offs that you get in the mail or the ones for, Black Friday at, some clothing store or just whatever. I think we did because I kept hearing information about it, but maybe people, a lot of us were temps and we worked at multiple printing facilities. Or the people who are actually directly hired there, they came from other places. And we're bored, we're talking about, we're like, hey, how do you do those? Well, those are a little bit more secure. I mean, they are going to make sure that none go missing. Every single one is accounted for. They check serial numbers. They weigh them. They pat people down on the way in and out or whatever. Or they have to wear coveralls with no pockets. Or, they take it up a notch because it's money. So let's jump back to the question that everybody has. How are these crap quality misprints making it through the printing facility? Because with my first example, okay, they'd have to let them. There's no other explanation. They'd have to let them through. 15 people would have to see them and be like, you know what, screw it. Or is it like lottery tickets because they're basically printing money? I mean, just think about it. Even with reprint sets, not even standard. Well, I guess that would be the standout one. you could be printing a $100 bill right there. So if people somehow saw what pack it went into, I mean, whatever. But if people wrote down the exact serial number and lot number that a winning lottery ticket went into, oh my God. Or, I mean, geez, if they made a copy of the 2D barcode and the matching, like, encryption number thingy that verifies it, they could just plug it in by hand on a machine and, oh, look, I won $10,000. So, needless to say, I can tell you right now, they are printed face down, and a very select number of people can check the quality, the ink underneath, and that, you know, they're going on sequence and the number of wins and all that, and then the topping goes on, you know, like the scratch surface itself. And, you know, not only do they chemically and, you know, test it with light and stuff to make sure that nobody can figure out what's under it, but you know, they don't let people near these. They don't let people near certain information. Well, that's the thing. Information, isn't that interesting? The long history that Wizards had with leaks. And, oh boy, if Purple wouldn't have done it out, this is on my to-do list. A history of leaks in the last 4 years since I started playing, because some of these I even forgot about. I was, like, you know, mentioning in another video that I think there have been more leaks than not when it comes to set releases. I can pretty well confirm that. So a long time ago in a video, I mentioned, hey, I worked at a printing facility and I could have redrawn that cover verbatim at my lunch break, okay? We're staring at the same product go out and get cut and get wrapped and get boxed over and over and over and over and over. I wasn't trying to memorize the title of the book and the author and every last object on the front of it, but guess what? There's nothing else to do. It's the most boring, dull job ever. I mean, I wasn't saying I'm going to memorize this, but you memorized it. I mean, you were seeing SpongeBob books in your sleep. It was like Tetris. Well, just think, okay, everything's face up. They're running multiple presses, multiple packaging, and 50 to 100 people get to see the cards. That would be really bad. Really bad, because, okay, you know the guy who snuck out of the printing facility with the full foil sheet, or multiple, I believe, of Rivals? Or no, Ixalan. Yeah, Ixalan. He literally left with it. Well, great. I mean, make sure somebody can't leave with a, like, 3x4 foot sheet. I mean, like, where was he even hiding it? Yeah, make sure a worker doesn't run off with that. Not that hard. How do you make sure that a worker can't memorize the cards, the names, the power level, the casting costs? Just memorize the 15 mythics. Just that. And then because, one, they like, you know, Magic the Gathering and they think it would be cool. Ooh, I could be the leaker. Ooh, I'm so cool. You know, people do that. 2, financial incentive. I don't know. I mean, because it's disseminated on the internet within 5 seconds. So, I mean, can you really, like, sell access to the cards? Probably not. Wizards would sue you. Well, and then third, if they have a problem with Wizards of the Coast and their wonderful politics and their awesome PR and corporate image, they could do it on purpose to sabotage them. I mean, if one person in that printing facility even played Magic the Gathering, they would appreciate the importance of seeing these cards months before they're spoiled. I mean, when they're getting printed, we're talking 2-3 months before release. So, yeah, they would memorize the cards. I mean, especially the noteworthy ones. But, you know, if people just looked up, oh, what's the rarest ones? Oh, this is the expensive one. Okay, we're only putting one of these in every booster. These must be the important ones. And they just looked at the name and what they did. They'd have them memorized within a day. So my theory is they go not quite the full way into, you know, lottery tickets, but they go pretty far where everything is printed and cut face down. And if you flip a sheet face up, you're fired. So I have a little bit more evidence than just, oh, sometimes they do it that way with sensitive intellectual property. How often do you see a flaw on the front of the card, and how often have you seen a printing flaw on the back of the card? I mean, even on the internet, even on, like, you know, misprint, you know, posts on forums and Facebook and stuff, I've seen, you know, flawed card backs, but I would say probably 100 to 1, if not 1,000 to 1 as a ratio are front versus back. So if they're face down and nobody's allowed to flip them up and check the quality, and honestly, if it was one person, okay, now one person that you super trust is in charge of, you know, verifying the quality on every single sheet. I don't know about that. I think whoever's in charge of that, and they've been with the company for like 20 years and signed like 9,000 NDAs, they'll check the first couple and be like, yep, color looks good. Cool, keep printing them face down, and they wouldn't even have time to memorize it or read it. Or they just really super trust that person. But if you run all the sheets, all the cards through one person, I mean, one person can't look at, I mean, that would be millions of cards. I mean, even by the sheet, it would be tens of thousands of sheets to check. So maybe they check 1 in every 1,000, and then if there's a flaw, they're just not allowed to toss the whole batch for cost reasons. And they're just like, oh, well, that's why we check it every 1,000 sheets. Or maybe every 100, every time you empty the hopper, whatever. And here's the other thing. Okay, so they discover misprints. They catch them. Now what do? I absolutely guarantee you, beyond any shadow of a doubt, I mean, this is speculation, but come on. They are not allowed to send them to an offsite recycler in a readable, legible format. If they want to splash acetone and isopropyl alcohol all over it, that's toxic, dangerous, and stupid. And they don't tend to do recycling on site at these places. They get in paper and then they print on it and then they send it out. They don't do their own in-house recycling. That's like a whole different business. Also, except for in Japan, magic cards are not printed on recycled paper as far as I know. Hey, maybe they are now. I don't know. Looks pretty bleach white to me. Doesn't look like it has a brown or gray tinge to it, so I don't know. So, okay, you discover a couple misprints. Now what do? You'd have to store them and hold them until after the spoilers go out or after the release of the set, and then, dumpster them or recycle them, shred them, whatever you're going to do. That's expensive. Storage is expensive, especially like really heavy stuff like paper. So I think they just say, okay, whatever, we just screwed up a couple sheets, whatever, send them to the printer, people love misprints, whatever, it is what it is. We're not allowed to shred them, get rid of them, we basically have to send them to the customer, and just let's pause and fix the machine for a second. And then it's probably, I mean, they didn't go with the most expensive printer in the world, they probably went with just about the cheapest lowball contractor in the world. Which, by the way, it's printed at multiple locations in the world, the one for America is Texas. But the fact that they're not printed in Wisconsin is really telling. I guess we were just too expensive for them. Wisconsin, if you're not familiar, prints basically everything for the entire country. Man, dairy products, cranberries, and paper converting and printed paper goods. Like, that's what we do. And for some reason, we sell a lot of fireworks. I don't know why that is. I don't know. The firework laws are pretty lax here. I am telling you the honest to God truth. One time when we were traveling way up north, I mean, we might have actually been in Upper Michigan, to be perfectly honest, but I saw a sign, a billboard. I believe it said they had cheese, wine, fudge, novelty gifts, firearms, and let's see, what was the other one? Oh, a pawn shop. And probably small engine repair too. They just didn't feel like putting it on the sign. I mean, I just, I can kind of feel out those types of places. They probably do that too. Oh, there's actually another one. I actually know where this is because it's where my friend lives. Liquor, pawn, and gun. Right on the front. I think there's a place in the outlot that sells fireworks too. I feel like this video went a little bit off the tracks. Anyway, I think the printing facility down in Texas is understaffed. The people don't care. They're underpaid. It's, well... Let me just tell you about mine, okay? 50% of the workers were there on a work release program from the prison. And they hired me. I mean, I don't think there's somebody they wouldn't hire. I wouldn't hire 18-year-old me. So I got some lowball, who cares, rush people. And then on top of that, Wizards is like, do not leak this. Take, high security precautions. And they're acting like it's Fort Knox. Well, you want Fort Knox, you better pay for Fort Knox. So I think what they do is they just take the lazy route. Minimal checking, minimal staff on every machine. It doesn't have to be perfect, I guess, is what they said. They're like, if you want this to be perfect, you better pay for more staff. We got to background check people, trust them, ensure they don't leak it, which still is impossible. We got to step up security, all this stuff. It's gonna cost money. And the Wizard said, well, you know what? Screw it then, because people love misprints. They collect them, which is true. There's a huge misprint collection, group out there. There's a market for it. It's a thing. I collect misprints. So, Wizards ruined it. They said if something goes out all splotchy, whatever, people just be like, oh, that's so cool. I've never seen that. And now it's like 1 in 10 packs. I mean, come on. So they kept it cheap while having an acceptable amount. So at the end of the day, it is kind of Wizards' fault. It's just, I wanted to explain why they're doing it. Like, Wizards did not tell them, put as many misprints in there as you possibly can, which is how people like to imagine it sometimes, I think. So low paid staff, low quality staff, staff revolving door going in and out. Everybody hates the job. Super high turnover rate. You can't trust them. You print everything face down. You can't dumpster recycle anything because it's secure. What's written on it. Even if you shred it, people could still get like names and stuff. And shredding is actually really expensive. You mix it all together and you've got, okay, this is why we have misprints. Really simple. And obviously, the facility wouldn't have the latest and greatest in like computer checking, optics, optical alignments on the cutter, laser guidance, all this stuff. It's just old outdated crap. I mean, obviously. That's what my facility had, and it was high volume and successful enough that they were making the money that they could replace it. It's just, hello, $5 million machine. Like, that ain't cheap. They're paying us $750 an hour, okay? Like, $5 million is a lot. So hopefully that sheds some light on it. It's not 100% Wizards' fault, but it's like, if they wanted to throw more money at it, they could do it. But it would have to come out of their pockets, because I gotta say it. People are gonna get pissed off, but I'm gonna say it. Would you be willing to pay 25% more per pack, per product, per everything, per, commander deck, everything, if just to have the cards be like pristine, like perfect? The answer is no for most people. The vast majority of people. People are like, I want to get it graded. Oh, I got a Jason. It was misprinted. Honestly, sell that. That's worth money. Oh, they're miscut slightly, and I just don't like looking at that. I'm a perfectionist. And well, you got a point there if you say it makes Wizards look bad. It makes them look like a cheap company who doesn't care about their product. Yeah, it absolutely does. I mean, you look at like any other company and the cards come out flawless. Yeah, it makes Wizards look like the cheap one, even though they're the one who's winning right now, sales-wise. Doesn't really fit, but gotta go back to, would you pay X% more to have more staff check it, everything, losses on the line, you have a 5% defect rate, and you just shred them, burn them, whatever. You gotta pay to have them hauled away or shredded, and you gotta store them so nobody can see them. Just this whole rigmarole that all costs a boatload of money. Would you personally be willing to pay for that? Maybe you said yes, but for the vast majority of customers, it's no. They just want, oh, here, I have a copy of the card. I don't really care what it looks like. Is it legible? Cool. And if it's a drastic misprint, that's actually kind of cool too. Now, the card's curling to the point where you can't randomize them properly with shuffling. That's a practical problem. That's actually affecting like the real game for everybody. But just cosmetically, oh, the ink's a little dark or light. Like, whatever, it really does make Wizards look bad, but people are not willing to pay more, and Wizards is not willing to lose money, so the problem will not get fixed. And that's that. And by the way, to comment on the paper change, word on the street is that paper prices are going up everywhere because of, this, that, and the other thing, trees and, whatever, CO2, and I don't know. Maybe somebody bought somebody went out of business and bankruptcy, and who knows. Like, either way, the paper supply went to crap. Maybe the demand went up. I wouldn't think. Everything's going digital. But something happened, and paper got more expensive, so they could either say, oh, well, we'll just make 10% less because the paper costs 10% more, or, you know what, use the cheaper paper. We cannot afford this. We got to make our margins, and Hasbro isn't going to like it if we just say, oh, expenses went up, nothing we can do, which is very legitimate, by the way. So they just said, okay, use cheaper paper. Oh, well, people just have to deal with it. And now they're hearing from, the customers like, oh my God, this is crap. And it's getting to the point where customers are like, I'm going to buy less because I'm sick of these damn cards curling. Whether or not that's true or not, I mean, you're not going to say, I'm going to buy 3 of every card instead of 4. No, your deck would suck. You're still buying the same exact amount of cards. But maybe archive quality, I'm going to make a full collection, I'm going to get 1 of every foil. Maybe people are just like, this is such garbage quality, I'm not even going to collect this set. Maybe. So if it's starting to affect them that way, that it's lose money or lose money, well, let's choose the lose money where we don't lose customers. So the word on the street is that's what they did. It's not Wizards saying, paper costs the same that paper always cost, but we can make more money if we cheap out on the paper. I really sincerely do not think that that's how that went down. I think that cost went up and they just were not having that. So that's a little info on that. So if you found this video deeply insightful and informative, leave a thumbs up. If you didn't, leave a thumbs up anyway. If you like dank cat memes, leave a thumb up. If you don't have a thumb and I just triggered you, I'd say leave a thumbs down, but you don't have a thumb. Now you're definitely leaving a thumbs down. That was super offensive. But feel free to leave a comment about if you think that the new paper tastes better than the old paper when you get angry and eat the cards, and I will see you guys next video.